Hello, English 155 students, and welcome to your Week 5 video blog. I wanted to go over just a couple of things to point out for your work this week. The first is Chapter 6. This is about completing your message, and you'll see how these chapters tie into the writing assignment that I'm going to go over in a little bit here. But Chapter 6 really gives you some good tools for revising, and it's some stuff that I've found helpful in my own writing and research. You want to break down the revision process to what I'll call higher order concerns and lower order concerns. So your higher order concerns are things that should take precedence first. This is purpose. You know, what is my purpose? To inform, to persuade. You're reading back through your draft with the purpose in mind. You're thinking about audience. Is it relevant to my audience? You might imagine how they would be likely to read something, and you're going to rewrite sentences based on the answers to those questions. Does it satisfy my reader's needs? You're going to think about the organization. You know, is the information presented in the most organized and logical fashion? Is there a better organization? These are all big picture things, you know, purpose, audience, structure and organization, making sure that your information is factually correct. The second component is these lower order concerns. And it's not to say that lower means that they're less important, because they're equally as important, but they're things that you want to focus on after the content is established and perfect. These are things like probably attention to word choice, spelling, grammar, punctuation, and in my experience I tend to find that a lot of students gravitate immediately towards lower order concerns. We know there are grammatical issues, we need to fix that. What you don't want to happen is to be so focused on fixing grammar and punctuation that you don't consider how well developed the content is, how appropriate for the audience it is, how it's organized. Does it have a purpose, and does it, you know, achieve the purpose that I set out to have? So Chapter 6 gives you some tools, and what's really nice is they give you a lot of questions, and they give you some examples to illustrate how to go back through your writing. And I can look on page 154 and 155, and they show you with, you know, some red markup how somebody might go back through their own writing and revise it. The chapter ends, you know, focusing now even on like more specific details like improving for readability, how to break paragraphs up or redesign the layout of your document to make sure that the information that's most important is emphasized and easy to identify. You have some very helpful tables on page 159 and 161 that show you how to be concise, direct, and to the point. One thing that I like about Chapter 5 is this message that you should use plain English. If you can communicate your idea clearly and quickly with simple words and phrases, do so. Your readers will appreciate that, especially in business writing. So they give you a lot of examples of overly long sentences or overly wordy sentences that could be shortened and clarified in the process. So, you know, take some time, look at Chapter 6. It's definitely something that I want you to apply to the writing assignments that you have in the future. And as always, ask me questions if you're confused by anything in here. So I want to go over in the rest of this video the 3-part writing assignment, and it's right here in the weekly post, and I'll go ahead and click on that and bring it up. This project ties into chapters 4, 5, and 6. So roughly planning, and then writing and drafting a message, which is Chapter 5, and Chapter 6, you know, completing it, perfecting it, and distributing it. At the end of the assignment, and this spans, you know, a couple weeks, you'll submit 3 things. Part 1, which is, you know, the planning stage. Part 2, a rough draft, and then Part 3, your final version of the message. For this video only, I'm just going to cover Part 1, and it's really all you need to be focused on. So the first thing you need to do is is pick an assignment prompt to work off of. You can see here the page numbers that these options are on, and they come from Chapter 7, right in the back. Hold on, let me open them up. The first one that you have is on page 217, and this is about an instructional post, a blog post for students about how to use Tumblr, the blogging platform. And if you read through the prompt, I'm not going to read through the entire thing for you. It kind of lays out, you know, who you are, who your audience is. In this case, it would be the class, this online class. You know, what your purpose is and what you need to do. The other option is on page, let me see here, 217, and it's 737. And this one is about video games, and so you are a representative for ESA, which is a let's see, Entertainment Software Association. You're on the public relations staff, and what you need to do is download. There's a link in this assignment. Download this update, this real-time updates, which is contains a file that has some research about video games and youth, and hopefully it will dispel some of the myths that parents have about video games, that they are, you know, violent, overly violent, and, you know, leave their children as loners, displaced from society. So it kind of creates the situation. You want to read through that and think about who you are in this scenario, who your audience is, and what your purpose is to dispel these myths in a blog post. The last one is, let's see here, 741 on page 218. And in this one, you are writing a podcast, which is simply like just a purely audio text, something that you would listen to and download from the web, or you know, you could think of it as a radio spot. But this is kind of like a marketing scenario where you would be recommending high school juniors and seniors consider either Horry Georgetown Technical College in general or a specific program that we have. So, you know, consider your audience is high school juniors and seniors, and that you are here to, you know, at least persuade them to consider applying to this school. So your first step with this assignment is to type up some answers that get you planning and thinking about it. And these should be typed neatly on one page, saved as a PDF file, and uploaded to Dropbox. They should be in complete sentences. Each question is probably at least going to be one decent-sized paragraph, if not multiple. So the first question, you know, think about your purpose. What's the general purpose? What's the specific purpose? What's the topic and main idea for your message? And I've given you some page numbers to help you review the parts of the textbook that will correspond with what this question is getting at. The second question may be the longest, and this is going to be your multiple paragraph response. I want you to do an audience profile, and this ties into Chapter 4 as well. Think about demographics. You know, what are your audience's values, their expectations? Think about how they're likely to respond. And I'd like you can see here point C, I'd like you to determine at least 3 reasons your audience would oppose or, you know, reject your message. What do they need to know? And it concludes by, you know, setting up, now that you've thought about this, set up the line of reasoning that you're going to use to either persuade or have your audience accept your message. The third question, I'd like you to consider the mediums. So 2 of these options are blog posts. You know, electronic, but they can be multimedia, you know, on the web. And one of them is audio only. So you can kind of do a compare and contrast with other mediums. What are the advantages? What are the benefits? What are the disadvantages? And lastly, I would like you to decide whether you're going to pursue the direct or indirect approach. So be sure, you know, with all of these to explain your answers and your reasons fully, offer examples when relevant. And so that's part 1. Type that up, definitely, even with these answers, go through and proofread and revise using Chapter 6. And when you're finished, submit them to Dropbox. They'll be due at the end of next week. And next week I'll have a video for you about Part 2, which is writing the rough draft of the actual message. The last thing I do want to mention is I would like you all to post to a discussion forum, Week 5 discussion forum. This is going to be kind of an open thread. I will be taking attendance by posting to the thread, so you need to post something. You can either reflect on something that you see in Chapter 6, you could ask a question related to the assignment, or you could just share your thoughts about where you are in the class. It's very, very open. But please post something by the end of the week so I can verify attendance. Thank you guys very much, and as always, feel free to call me, email me, or even stop by my office on Conway and Grand Strand campuses this semester. So if you want to meet face-to-face, I'd be happy to do that. Thanks all.